全球允许合法代孕的国家屈指可数，而美国又是当中费用最高的。许多准父母基于种种考量，纷纷转向发展中国家寻求代母。从泰国、印度、老挝到柬埔寨，都成了国内代孕机构推荐的热点。今天我们将请 Brisman 律师为我们说明，在这些开发中国家聘用代母必须考虑哪些风险。
Well, in some of those countries, it's not actually legal, it's underground, so obviously that's extremely risky because if the government clamps down on the policy, the child won't be able to leave. But developing countries are called developing for that reason. So they're not fully developed in their medical care. So if a baby is born early, their NICU services may not be adequate and the baby may not make it.
And there is a medical risk for that.
Well, there's a medical risk for that, but there's even bigger medical risk with mixing up the egg and the sperm.
Oh my God.
In the United States, we're very, very careful about the FDA regulating and properly labeling eggs and sperm. In a lot of these developing countries, there have been instances where people have brought their babies home and they have not been biologically the babies that they thought. So maybe the intended parents thought the babies were going to be genetically related to one or both of them, and they're not. And then they have this baby, obviously they love the baby, but it wasn't exactly what they intended. They have somebody else's genetics. So that's a big risk as well. Also, in developing countries, they do tend to use very poor women who sometimes can have very poor nutrition, which can affect the overall health of the baby and the pregnancy, which is also not safe. So you have to be very careful. Some of these countries have extremely high alcoholism, like the Ukraine, and the babies can be born with fetal alcohol syndrome.
But aren't those carriers supposed to be vetted out before it?
They are, but they don't have the same vetting process as the United States, which is much more secure.
But it's also the most expensive compared to those developing countries.
Yes, you get what you pay for, right? So if you, and this is also one area where you don't want to necessarily
be cheap.
Yes, you don't want to be what we call in the United States penny wise and pound foolish, because this is your child, so they deserve the best.
美国是少数全球已开发国家当中能够合法代孕的国度。从医学角度来看，除了能够为代母在怀孕跟生产时可能面临的医疗风险提供更优质的医疗管理之外，完善的立法更是让委托家庭能够规避法律风险的重要因素。所以建议有代孕需求的家庭在选择服务的时候，千万别只从经济角度出发。惠议祝您孕，祝您美运成真。我们下期